So the right side movement is for the people who are very meticulous, you see, which you can call the people who are very particular about the time, and who are very firm about things, who are very dry people, and who are very straight, and they won't tolerate any nonsense. That sort of people, you see, that you find normally, and that sort of people become a headache, and they are very boring. You can't just bear their company. They can be very boring people. And they give you big lectures about how to be straightforward and how to walk straight, absolutely. In the nature, nothing is straight. It all moves so beautifully because the nature is created out of varieties. And variety brings the beauty. They don't think of beauty, they don't think of love or compassion, nothing. For them, it is a very meticulous world, and that's how they live. Such people are developing a big ego within themselves, as you see there, is the yellow stuff in the head called as ego. Let me show. By the action of the left side, emotional side, we develop a superego, but by the action of the right side, we develop an ego. Now this ego is not easy to be seen, because if you have a superego, you have pains in the body, you are a miserable person, you have wrinkles on the face, and you look absolutely worn out. But if you have ego, then you look so dynamic. We can say that Hitler was the extreme of this ego business. And he got into his head that he is some sort of a God incarnation, and that he has to save the people, and he was the one who knows about races and everything, and he is supposed to save some race. This kind of idea comes from these people who are right-sided. They are very aggressive. They may be very good to talk to. They may be very humble to look at. Could be very good businessmen. Could be anything. But they do not know that they have this Mr. Ego coming up on their heads, just like a big balloon, and they are floating in the air. The end of ego is stupidity. You'll be surprised. The end of ego is stupidity. Such people indulge into all kinds of stupid things, and they say, what's wrong? For example, I've known old people behaving in so stupid ways, and they say, what's wrong? You know, an old man, say, of 90 years, who can't even walk without a stake. Stakes to these dances you do, and then he falls down, you see, and he thinks, what's wrong? Like a lady I knew, she was about 85, she died from a horse falling down. Naturally, what else do you expect at 85? That's what is evident. For a lady of 85, she should settle down at home, look after her grandchildren. Maybe she might have great-grandchildren, you see. Instead of that, why does she want to be 25-year-old lady to climb on a horse? So all such stupid things they do, and then they will say, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong in stupidity, what's wrong? But such people are a nuisance to the society, to others. The people who are superego are troublesome to themselves, but those are egoistical are troublesome to others. They are all the time correcting others, torturing others, putting their ideas onto other people, and such people can be very, very successful, because nothing succeeds like success. They go on hammering things into the heads of people, saying, now this is true, and when you go on saying it, you should suddenly believe, yes, must be true. And such people are much more dangerous, I would say, from the superego type. But for people who do not know the tricks of the superego, they can be very, very, very dangerous, because they are very subtle. You cannot see them. They mesmerize, and they can possess you, and they can be very sly, and they can work out all sorts of methods which you are not aware of. So it is not easy to choose which is better, which is not better. Both things are wrong to go to extremes on the right or to the left. Now let's see what happens physically. As I told about the cancer on the left-hand side that we do, physically what happens to people who are futuristic? We have a center, especially for futuristic behavior, called as Swadhisthana Chakra, which is in the gross manifesting the plexus called the aortic plexus within us. Now this Swadhisthana Chakra is very important for human beings, especially for people who are developed people. With this chakra, actually, we convert the fat of the stomach for the use of the brain. Now this is the center of the Surya, of the sun. Now when we start thinking, these cells are converted in such a way that they become useful to the brain. Now if you are thinking all the time you are thinking, then what will happen? I mean, the horns are not going to grow out of that. You are consuming all that. And when you are consuming all those cells, you have to have replacement. And for that replacement, this Swadhisthana chakra has to work very hard to convert the cells for the use of your brain. Now, when it is doing that, there are other things which this Swadhisthana chakra has to look after. For example, your liver, your pancreas, your spleen, your kidneys, all are to be looked after by this center, and also uterus for the ladies. Now when there's only one work is given to this Swadhisthana chakra, and it cannot do any other work, then other things are neglected, so you develop a terrible disease called liver trouble. Now liver trouble is another thing that you do not feel yourself. Others know that you are liverish, the way you are hot-tempered, the way you are fussy, the way you always snarl at people, and the way you are never satisfied with anything, the way you criticize others. All this is liverish, and such liverish people are never happy with themselves, because liver looks after their attention. And those who have liver problems, their attention is horrid. That goes like this. See, you cannot keep your attention straight. On the street you will walk straight into a car because you are looking at something which you are not supposed to look. But all the time you are looking at like this, you cannot walk. I mean, you won't find any animal like that who walks like this, but only human beings do it. If you see them on the street, you'll be amazed, where are they walking? They don't walk straight. They don't walk straight, but their eyes are going this way, that way, because the attention is wobbly. The attention is wobbly because of a bad liver. So this liver is a very, very important thing. Now this liver has a special capacity to extract all the poisons from the body as heat. And the heat in the body is to be transformed or should be conveyed to the blood or the water in the blood, and that has to be taken out of your body, maybe as perspiration or in another forms. But what happens? That when this liver is out of gear, it cannot do it. It cannot pass this heat into the bloodstream, and the heat remains in the body, and you really become heated, and that heat makes all these problems for you. So in Sahaja Yoga, what happens that when Kundalini rises, she changes the form of the blood. The hydrogen and oxygen which are placed because of this heat and all that, in a very funny way, like this, like that, and they start receiving this heat within them. That's why those people who have bad livers feel little heat when the Kundalini rises. But one can cure it by giving it that peace and comfort to that liver organ, and you can definitely cure your liver, no doubt about it. Then the second thing that happens to you is the pancreas, which gives you diabetes. Only a person who thinks too much gets the diabetes. For example, an Indian farmer doesn't know what diabetes is, but then you stop your sugar. But that's not the way to stop your diabetes. Diabetes comes to you because you think too much. The doctors won't understand this. That's why they say it is incurable. But because they cannot connect thinking with the disease. And this is what happens when you are all the time thinking like mad, then diabetes takes place. And this diabetes is also curable if you get your enlightenment. You can cure also the diabetes of other people, but because this vital power, which is integrated of all these three powers, flows through you, and you can replenish, you can give more to other people who are exhausted of it, and sort of you can fill them up with this power, and you can cure. The third one is the worst of all that happens to people, is blood cancer, because of spleen. Spleen is one thing very important, that it is the center of peace within us. The one who doesn't have a proper spleen cannot be a peaceful person. Now, it's a very simple thing, but doctors cannot connect it, nor all science-oriented people can connect it to something very, very simple. And the simple thing, if that when we eat our food, if we are frantic, we are out to get trouble with the spleen and we can get blood cancer. Now, if the mother is of that temperament or a father is of that temperament, the children might be born with blood cancer. Now, we will be happy to tell you that in New York, we had a case of blood cancer. And when I was in India, in a village, somebody came and told me that such and such boy is sick. He's only 16 years with blood cancer, and doctors have declared that he's going to die within 2 weeks' time. They always declare, they are good at declaration only. And when this case came to me, I told them that I cannot do anything, I'm in a village, but you can telephone to one of the surgeoginis. She was in England, now she's in New York, and she will look after this case. You'll be amazed that the boy was cured completely. He came out of the hospital, came to see me, and now he's gone back to his studies. I mean, like this we have cured many cases of blood cancer. But here we are not to cure people by any or healing anyone. That's not our job. It happens spontaneously as a byproduct of the Kundalini awakening. Main thing is we have to make you doctors. We have to make you knowledgeable people. We have to make you collectively conscious human beings who have to enter into the kingdom of God to reside there in His peace, bliss and joy. Now this trouble of also of kidney, of high blood pressure, all that is due to this. People worry, they are frantic, you see, and this franticness comes to us just as a matter of habit. I have known people, as soon as you say, oh, you have to go by aeroplane or somewhere, suddenly the aeroplane word triggers that frantic, oh, they get mad. They don't know what they are up to. They will forget their passport, they will forget their luggage, they will forget this, that. Frantic. At the airport, if you go, you'll find this left nabi, as we call it, the center is the spleen goes frantic. Now, when you eat your food or do any such work, there is an emergency created and more blood is needed to digest that food. So this spleen, poor thing, works very hard to create that extra amount of blood cells. But at the time you are eating, you are also reading a newspaper. That's the worst thing one should do in the morning. Horrible. You read the newspaper, you are eating the food, the spleen goes off because another emergency comes up. Then you get onto your bicycle with a sandwich in the hand. It's even worse than that. And you are rushing to your work, suddenly you find a big jam on the way, then you are even very badly placed with the situation and you get so frantic and you don't understand. And the person who is in front of you goes on saying, oh, what's wrong with this fellow? Why can't he drive fast? And the same fellow is saying something exactly the same to the another fellow who is going ahead. So this mad race is on, this rat race is on, and if you are eating your food in such a hurry and in such franticness, you develop this trouble, which is very dangerous, called as blood cancer, and among young people is very common. Now, the last and not the least is the trouble of the heart. When you pay too much attention to all these outward things, to material things, to your all material advancement, to your physical advancement, and to so much of computerization of your brain, then you neglect the necessary attention to your spirit, which resides in your heart. And so the spirit receives. And when the spirit receives, you get a heart attack. Only a person who is right-sided gets a heart attack, and never a person who is a left-sided. I told this to a doctor, and he told surprisingly that in a mental hospital, we never need a cardiograph. We do not need it. They never get a heart attack. A mad man never gets a heart attack. Surprisingly, a person who is mad is using his heart, his left side, his emotions, and his heart should go out. But no, his brain goes out. Can you imagine? And the one who uses the brain, his heart goes out. This is the balance created by nature in us. See how cleverly the nature is trying to guide us in the center. Don't go to the extremes. Keep to the center. Keep to the center. And then when you are absolutely in the center, then you get your evolution very quickly. So this is the right side that we have, the futuristic side, and as you know, we are all very futuristic by temperament. This futuristicness cannot be cured by telling, oh, now don't think. You cannot do it. You just cannot do it. If I order you that now you better stop planning, you just can't do it. You can't help it. You have to do that kind of plan. And you find all these plans fail because these plans are not related to the plans of the divine. Divine has some other plans, while you have some other plans. And they never combine together, and that's how you find all your plans fail, and you are just frustrated, left high and dry. You don't understand how it has happened. For your understanding, one has to know that there is a divine power. You may like it or not. All this living work that is done, millions and millions of flowers which are becoming fruits, a seed becoming a tree, a particular seed becomes a particular tree, all the choices that are made, the whole organized way, the chemical acts, the way the chemistry is made of periodic laws, everything you see in this world is all so well organized, there has to be somebody doing it. So there is a divine power which is surrounding us, no doubt about it. But we have not yet felt it. That's all. If you have not felt it, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It does exist. And it works out. We have seen with our own experience that so many living things are happening, we just take it for granted. We are not bothered. See, in human life itself, a child is to be born. Then a fetus is held in the body. Normally, the law of medical science is this, that anything foreign, if it enters into the body, is thrown out immediately. All the forces are built up to throw it out. But what we find, that when a fetus is built up, the whole system works out to nourish it, to look after it, to really to bother about it. Very carefully, the water is created around it so that it is not disturbed, and every sort of a care is taken by the body to look after the fetus, and when the fetus is ready, it is thrown out. Who does that? Who does that? We must ask these questions to ourselves sometimes. After all, why have we become human beings? What was the need? What was the need? And if we haven't got the answer, that means we are still in transition, and we have to get there where we get the answer. We are made human beings to feel that divine power, to maneuver that divine power, and thus enjoy the bliss of divinity. That divine power is the collective thing. That gives us collectivity. The spirit in our heart is the one which is the collective being within us, which manifests that divine power to flow through. And that's how, once we are connected to the mains, we start becoming what we are for. Like a machine, once it is put to the mains, it gets its meaning. But this machine, though it is put to the mains, is not aware of the electricity, about my voice, anything. But a human being, when he gets connected with the mains, when he becomes aware, and this is what you must see. When you get realized, you can raise the Kundalini of others. You can give realization to others. Ray himself has done to so many. Even in Riyadh he did it. He did it everywhere, wherever he went. He's just like you. He's an engineer. He's just like you. He was just like you. And now you'll be amazed at how much he knows about himself and about others. And a complete change has come, because once you get the spirit, when you get the highest, all these mundane things drop off and you become a master of yourself. No more enslavement of any habits or anything. It just works out beautifully. But one must give a chance to oneself, and one must have patience. The worst part of intelligence, so-called, is that you can make fun of it. That's the easiest way to make fun of everything and get rid of it. In olden times, when they wanted to face the reality, like when Christ came in, they didn't make fun of it. But they did at the time when he was crucified, but they just denied. But now it is not basically a problem. That problem doesn't exist, because to deny it requires more effort. So it's better to make fun. It's stupidity, again, as I said. It's stupidity to make fun of something. Because you are that. You are the spirit. You are the one who has to get it. And if you just know how to make fun, please go and play about with it. All your life will go on, all your lives will go on. What's the use? And if you do not get a realization, in the words of your judgment, you have failed. You have failed, and there is a chance given to you. You can be comforted, and you can be counseled, you can be redeemed, but nobody can make you taste the beauty of your own being. That you have to do it yourself. If you do not want to do it, all right, it's perfectly all right. You are free to do it. Do what you like. But if you want to do it, then please stop your guru shopping and wobbling. Stop and see for yourself what you need. It's a serious thing we should have. Unless and until human beings are evolved, none of the problems of the world are going to be solved. None of the problems. Take it from me. Whatever they have done by their thinking, say they have created democracy, they have created communism, this, that, all this nonsense, has no meaning at all in reality. It has no meaning. Because say, for example, you might say, I'm very powerful, so I'm a capitalist. But I can't live without giving to others, so I'm a communist. I'm a complete capitalist and a complete communist. Everything exists within me. And these ideas are all artificial, that you make some set of people as democratic and some people as this thing. Because as long as they are attached to selfishness, to all these things, they are not going to do any good job out of it. Now, the detachment takes place because you become one with the spirit, which is not attached, which gives you that light, that detachment, from where you can see the whole thing just as a drama going on, and you work it out very well. You become so dynamic that you are amazed at your own dynamism. Apart from that, one has to realize if there is a power which is an all-pervading power, that power itself thinks, organizes, and looks after it. So many things have happened to such yogis. If I have to tell you all about it, you'll be amazed. Amazing things have happened. But Krishna has said very clearly, yoga kshema vahamyam. Means when you get the yoga, you get the well-being. After yoga. He said yoga first. First the union must take place, then you will get the well-being. Now I have seen people who go to so-called gurus and things sick. You see their faces pale, absolutely finished. They are good for nothing, absolutely miserable people. And how such people would be in yoga? Not only physically, mentally they are at peace. They are full of compassion and love. And the compassion that doesn't talk but just flows. It flows. It emits. You can give your compassion even to flowers. If the flowers are dying, you can give them this and they will live for a while. If there are, say, trees which are dying, if you give them, they will prosper. If you give it to animals, they will be different. Because first time, after getting this power only, you are giving back something to the nature. So far you have been always taking from the nature. Now it is the first time you start giving something to the nature. Because the compassion just flows. It doesn't receive it. It just goes to others. And this should happen to you. Don't be satisfied with cheap things, with something nonsensical, which is something sort of a mimicry or a mass ideas. I'm talking of collectivity, where every individual is aware. It's not a mass activity, it is collectivity. May God bless you. I hope today many will get realization and become one with their spirits and will feel their collectivity. That's only my hope is. Brighton I place very high up in England, and I always said England is the heart of the universe. It's very important that it is the heart, no doubt, and that's why Blake has said that it has to become Jerusalem. There's a lot of truth in what he has said. Lots of things he has said about Sahaja Yoga is absolutely true, but the heart is sluggish, heart is sleepy, is a sign. Like I say, that Europe is a liver and it is drained. Can you imagine what will be the state of affairs of this universe if everything is going against one's own essences? And the essence of English is that it is the heart. That means it articulates, it circulates. Whatever happens in England is taken up seriously. Supposing you become, all of you, stupid people, the whole world will become. The responsibility is such a lot on you, which you do not realize. It's a very important thing that we are doing. It looks very small in this country because there are very few people who really come to Sahaja Yoga and settle down. Very few people. There are very few of that caliber. I think young little children are there, many will come up by about say 10 years or so. I'm sure there will be a very good quality of people will be coming. And the seekers who are here are also sort of little nervous because they want to learn from Americans and from Europeans. There's nothing to be learned from. It is you who are going to circulate. You are going to carry the message. I know it's a very important country, and somehow it was managed that my husband could get his election done in England, and we are here now for last 8 years. Can you believe it? And I'll be here maybe again 4 years more at the most. So I hope something will happen, and this Brighton, which is a very good place, I'm sure here also many will get their realization and will help in the emancipation of humanity.